Andrew Bone with Bama Insider, who's also part of the Rivals Network. I don't know if I got all that right, Andrew, but I tried. Good morning, Andrew. How you doing?
Hey, you
Morning.
knocked it out. It's pretty good.
Plus, you sell houses. You're a real estate agent. You're jack of all trades, Andrew.
Yeah, I try to keep busy.
Well, Andrew, it's been maybe a slow time as far as commitments go with Alabama football, which is maybe rare. I wanted to ask, Dad and I've kicked it around as to why, because we don't really know these players. We don't know who's great and who's not, but we maybe attribute it to two of their really, really good recruiters leaving, one going to Arizona State, one going to Oregon. You bring in Brian Daboll, who I think is going to be a good recruiter, but he hasn't really evaluated these guys, so maybe they were waiting to get them on campus for camp. Is that part of why we have no commitments, or not many, 3, I guess, maybe, why it's going a little bit slow for Alabama right now?
Well, it has been an interesting year. I mean, there's several things that have happened over the course of, ever since signing day, and a lot of people were wondering, why are there only, as of right now, there are 4 commitments in Alabama's class, but only 2 of them heading into the summer. They just picked up a big commitment last night yesterday afternoon. Skylar DeLong, who is a punter out of South Carolina, considered by many as the number 1 punter in the country. Flipped his commitment from Tennessee to Alabama. Had participated in Alabama's special teams camp a couple weekends ago. And did really well, earned an offer from Alabama during that camp, and Alabama felt they were pretty confident when he earned that offer and he visited the campus that he was going to flip, but he did wait a couple weeks to announce that decision. So that was a big commitment with J.K. Scott leaving after this year. So they're going to need a big replacement for J.K. and they think Skylar DeLong is the best punter in the country in high school. So that would be a big addition for them. They also picked up Quay Walker, who's a 4-star linebacker out of Georgia, just about a week ago. So that was another big commitment. So I think Alabama fans are a little more excited now after picking up a few commitments this summer. After starting pretty slow, and really since February, you've seen some big time guys leave. You've seen Mario Cristobal leave. You've seen Billy Napier leave. Those were some elite recruiters, guys who've had some great relationships with not only players but the high school coaches, people in their recruiting areas that they've known really well. So a lot of these guys have had to build these new relationships. Brian Daboll has had to come in and establish himself as a recruiter and started to build these relationships. And I've heard nothing but very, very positive things about him on the recruiting trail. Maybe even more so than the previous offensive coordinators who were in Tuscaloosa. So that's very positive for Alabama. But another thing is, this is going to be a smaller class than we've seen in other years. In other times we've seen Alabama take 26 to 28 guys in a recruiting class, and this year, they're probably only going to sign about 22 guys. So they're being a little bit more selective. They're being a little bit more patient. They have a big offensive, defensive line camp this weekend down in Tuscaloosa. They're also going to have some skilled players that are going to be in town. Some guys that they consider their top tier guys in this 2018 class. They could add a few more commitments. I think by August they're going to be over 10. They could be close to 15 by August. We'll see a lot of guys that will end up making their decisions before the start of the football season. If we get to August, we get to September, and Alabama's still at 4 commitments, that may be a little cause for concern, but I don't really see that happening. I think Alabama's going to pick up some big commitments over the course of the next 2 months, and kind of ease the minds of a lot of Alabama fans that are out there worried about the recruiting class. Alabama's finished number 1 in the recruiting class so many times since 2008. I think this coaching staff, I think they know what they're doing. So the guys who are worried, people who are a little concerned, I say just be patient. These commitments and these elite prospects that Alabama gets every single year, they're going to come. Just be patient about it.
Yep, Daff.
Well, this is a question that he probably can't answer, and I can't either. But it's that time of year. Quarterback-wise, Tui probably needs to play and probably doesn't need to play. They'd like to save him, but they can't. The other kid's probably not ready to play. I think I met Brian. He'll do a good job, but it's a little bit of a complicated. It's not complicated, but it's a little bit of a different scenario quarterback-wise. You can comment on that. I don't know that you can, but I think that's an interesting topic.
Well, it is. You're right about that. I mean, you have, last year, Jalen Hurts coming in and really kind of taking everything by storm and coming in and having the impact that he had, SEC Offensive Player of the Year, and just having such a tremendous football season. You have an experienced quarterback coming back to Tuscaloosa, but you also have a lot of young talent that's going to be behind him. You have Tua Viola behind him, so he's probably going in your number 2 guy as a true freshman. So you're kind of hoping that nothing happens to Hurts, but a lot of people think that Tua could be that guy going into the fall. I don't see it. I think Jalen's going to be that guy. It's definitely Jalen's job to lose, and I think he's going to have a really big season. I think a lot of people are going to be surprised by his improvement from last year to this year under Coach Brian Dable. They've got some quarterback prospects that they're out there recruiting. There's not really a lot of guys out there. A lot of people see the talent that Alabama has in Jalen and Tua and Mac Jones. They know that there's a lot of young talent on that quarterback position. So it's a little difficult for Alabama to recruit quarterbacks in this 2018 class. They really like a guy named Jack Tuttle out of California. He's a Utah commitment. They're hoping to get on campus this summer, hopefully sometime in July. But it's going to be an interesting year at quarterback. A lot of people are expecting big things out of Jalen, and good news for Jalen is he has a lot of talent surrounding him. I mean, you look at that backfield, and it's probably the most loaded backfield Alabama's had. Since Nick Saban's been there, it's probably the best backfield in the country, I would say. And then you have a lot of talent that's surrounding him at that wide receiver position. And I think I don't know if he's going to be asked to do as much as he was last year, just because of the talent that they have. But hopefully he's going to stay injury free and have a big season.
We're talking with Andrew Bone with Bama Insider, part of the Rivals Network. Andrew, Brian Daboll, let's talk about him a minute. Nobody really knows. But to be a good salesperson or a good recruiter, you got to use what's in your toolbox, was what I like to say. And in his toolbox, he's been in the same locker room with Tom Brady for a long time. And so I got to imagine when he goes out on the recruiting trail, he uses that as far as with Tom, but uses it with receivers, showing them things that they can do. They did with Tom Brady. And I would think these recruits are taking to him pretty good. What are the recruits saying about Brian Daboll when you guys talk to them about after they meet with him?
Yeah, they seem to love him. I mean, like I said earlier, I mean, you hear more about Coach Dable than you did with Lane Kiffin with the recruits. Lane went out there and recruited, but he developed the relationships. But Brian really has hit the road hard this spring, and I was really impressed. Not only recruits but high school coaches. I've talked to several high school coaches that he met with who just overly impressed. Just really like him, and even if they don't have kids who are going to Alabama, they've just been extremely impressed with him. Very social guy, and very energetic. And as Jalen Hurts has mentioned before, he's been able to FaceTime with Tom Brady. Has had him on the phone, kind of getting tips and pointers from him. Talking to him about the best plays that they've run up in New England. That's a big selling point, and that's something that he can sell to recruits. And working with guys like Rob Gronkowski, talking to these elite tight end recruits, it's certainly a big time selling point, and I think it certainly helps and going to help Alabama a lot down the road. That's for sure.
Yep, that.
Anything at all about? Do you have anything to say about the baseball or anything there that is of interest to our listeners?
I wish I did. It's very interesting to see what what's going to happen. I think there's a lot of new excitement with the new head coach, and I think we'll just have to wait and see. But there is, I think Alabama fans and I think the staff right now is very very excited.
Andrew, as far as basketball goes, we've talked about their career recruiting class for this year that's on campus. We've beat it to death. People said it's the best in history. Time will tell. It may be the highest ranked in history. It'll take 2 or 3 years to see if it was the best. But it seems like Avery and his staff are doing a terrific job of getting these really top guys on campus unofficially this summer. Every time I look up, there's another kid coming on campus. I don't know if you know any particular names or some guys maybe they're close to getting, but just kind of talk about the job that they're doing with the next class. We've already talked about the John Petties and Colin Sextons and all that, but you got to put multiple classes together to get to where they want to go. Where's basketball recruiting right now?
It's very good. That's one of the biggest things right now with Alabama. It's funny. I was reading a preseason magazine the other day on an airplane. It was talking about the right now who are the top basketball and football schools right now, and it had Alabama as in terms of talent that's coming into a basketball and football program. And it had Alabama, I think, number 2 or number 3 overall on the list. So you kind of your eyes kind of open a little bit when you see that, because Alabama hasn't really been able to bring in multiple top recruits in a recruiting class in several years. They've been able to maybe sign 1 or 2 big guys every now and then, but bringing in several guys in each recruiting class is huge for Alabama, and they're going to continue to do well. And Avery's been able to, even if he misses on some prospects, he's been able to get these 4- and 5-star recruits on campus throughout the year, and that's just something that we haven't seen a lot of. Guys who are picking, guys are now picking Alabama over Duke or over North Carolina or over Arizona. We're starting to see that a little bit more, and I think Alabama's going to continue to do well. And of course, you got to have results on the basketball court, and there's going to be a lot of eyes on this upcoming season, and especially with the guys coming in with Colin Sexton and John Petty. If those guys come in and make a big impact, and with the guys that they currently have on the team, Alabama can make some big noises this upcoming year.
Yeah. Dad, anything else for Andrew?
No, I don't have anything. Thank
Andrew,
you.
tell everybody where they can find you guys at Rivals and all y'all's information, and where they can get you on Twitter.
Please follow us at BamaInsider.com, which is home of the Alabama site for the Rivals.com network. You can also follow me on my Twitter account at Andrew J. Bone.
Also, you sell them a house too, wouldn't you, Andrew?
Yeah, we certainly sell them a house. We do real estate in the Birmingham and Tuscaloosa area. So
there you
people
go.
can call us anytime.
There you go. Well, I appreciate it, Andrew. Thanks for being on with us.